Glad to have you back. Let's turn attention now to another story. The rising cost of cooking gas and kerosene is still a big challenge to Nigerians.
All right, let's take this report to lay foundation for the topic right now.
The agency believes that a well-coordinated market expansion strategy will help grow penetration by 32%, from 400,000 metric tons per annum to 3 million metric tons within the next 5 years. But with the recent hike in the price of cooking gas, industry watchers believe this might not be achievable. A recent survey by a TVC News crew in the domestic gas depot shows that refilling a 1 kilogram gas now sells for 500 naira against the earlier price of 400 naira. 3 kilogram cylinder is now 1,000 naira as against the former price of 700 naira. 5 kilogram cylinder now goes for 2,000 naira as against the 1,700 naira. 6 kilogram cylinder went up to 2,200 naira as against the earlier price of 1,900 naira, while refilling a 12.5 kilogram cylinder has risen to 4,500 naira against the earlier cost of 3,200 naira.
While we have inflation in raw material, we need to produce the snacks, but the price of the snack doesn't go up because the customers doesn't actually have money to buy if we should increase the prices of the snacks.
We've gone around, even around General Hospital Gagada, the least price we got is 20,000, and that is why we are here now. And the last one we bought was 18,000 per 50 kg. We use 50 kg cylinder, and before we normally buy it 12,000, and now it's 18,000, 16,000.
Despite this complaint, LPG users believe that the use of cooking gas remains better, healthier than kerosene and charcoal.
There is nothing I can do about it because my kid must feed and I need to cook for them. So definitely my expenses has decreased.
If I buy gas, a cylinder of gas, I can use a cylinder of gas for like 2-3 months, compared to if I buy kerosene. A gallon of kerosene now is over 1,000 naira, which you cannot use up to a month. But if I buy a cylinder of gas, it takes me for 2-3 months. It's cheaper, but the price these days, it's something that most people cannot afford.
The price of crude oil is going up. And number 2 factor is the foreign currency. Because the price are being priced internationally, the cost of naira and dollar, the difference between naira and dollar, is also affecting. And again, the cost of diesel to run the gas plant. Today, diesel is about 255 naira per liter. Dollar is about 490 naira to $1. And putting those factors together, that is the reflection of what we're seeing in price today.
It is expected that all concerned bodies meet minds and find the way of returning to the old price given the current recession in the country. Tolulope Ogunjobi, TVC News, Lagos.
All right, we have joining us now oil and gas expert and energy consultant Bala Zaka. Bala, good morning.
Thank you.
Nice to have you this morning. Now, it is a lot of concern. I remember having you on this, we discussed this thing some time ago, but Correct. It doesn't seem to be abating. The cost of, if you go and you listen to Nigerians, there's still this complaint. We were expecting the prices of things to come down.
And we were promised that it will come down.
Yeah. You know, we're talking about rising cost of energy.
Yeah.
And why can't we just define energy? Let me define it my own way.
That's all right.
You know, not the scientist way, not the engineer's way, not even the journalist way. So if viewers want to spank me, please, they should use a broomstick, not a sledgehammer. This is my definition of energy. Energy is that necessary force you require. Scientist way, not the engineer's way, not even the journalist way. So if viewers want to spank me, please, they should use a broomstick, not a sledgehammer. This is my definition of energy. Energy is that necessary force you require to create a mobility or a motion or a general movement within a system. Then in the context of Nigeria, this is how I will define energy. Energy is that force that you positively require to create political, social, and economic mobility or motion for the greater benefits of Nigerians. Okay. And that simply means you need that push to enable you overcome what I can best describe in my own way as an economic inertia, so that the Nigerian economy can be thrust to a particular level for the betterment of everybody. And that simply means energy security is very important. If you have energy security, that means you're likely to get or gain economic security.
And that is what we don't have in Nigeria right
Exactly.
now.
So if you have economic security, then that means there is every likelihood that you are going to have economic growth and development. Once you have economic growth and development, then that simply means all the indices are likely to do what? To be positive. If all the indices are positive, then that means you are now going to be guaranteed positive social security. And once you have that,
and I think you have cut out our job for us. So let's stick with your definition is
okay,
well encompassing. So let's take one of politics, economy, social. Let's take them one.
It.
Yeah, let's take them one after the other and see how this cost of energy has affected the life wire of the country.
Of the economy.
Yes, of
okay,
the economy. So let's start with the economy, for instance.
Okay. So when you talk about the economy and what energy or lack of energy or the rising cost of energy has cost to the Nigerian economy, this is the way I will look at it as Balazaka. The domestic sector or the strategic, because whichever way you classify the sectors within a country, the sectors must fall within these three. You are either or you belong to strategic domestic sector, strategic commercial sector, or strategic industrial sector. And these three key sectors are driven or powered by what? By energy. So the economic restructuring mechanism will determine how you are going to take care of these three sectors. But as long as you want to move your economy positively from point A to point B, these three sectors must be effectively powered by energy.
Okay.
All right, we'll come back to this.
Yeah.
Now, plans by the federal government to promote the consumption of cooking gas is under serious threat, as Nigerians are groaning due to hiking prices of cooking gas, kerosene, charcoal, and even firewood.
Market survey shows that the price of cooking gas has risen by about 40% in Lagos and other parts of the country. A 12.5 kg cylinder, which previously sold for 3,500 naira, now goes for between 4,000 and 4,500 naira, even 5,000.
Even 5,500 naira, exactly.
So kerosene, known as the common man's meal ticket, has now become a commodity for the rich.
All right, now the Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation, NNPC, pegged the price of kerosene at 150 naira per litre. But kerosene now sells for as high as 500 naira in some states in Nigeria, as a drum of kerosene, which sold for 47,000 naira in December 2015, now sells for 72,000 naira. Now in Enugu, the price of a litre of kerosene has gone as high as 600, as against the official pump price of 150 naira.
In Ondo State, kerosene per litre has gone up to 450 naira. In Kaduna, a litre of kerosene now sells for 400 naira. The story is the same in Abuja, the nation's capital, as the commodity sells for 400 naira as well. In Lagos, Calabar, Anambra and Ibadan, kerosene sells for 350 naira per litre, as against the official pump price of 150 naira per litre.
Now, the situation is worse for those who buy kerosene from retailers at home, as a bottle of kerosene is now sold for as high as 250 naira. Many argue that cooking with kerosene is now more expensive than using gas. Now, millions of Nigerians have now turned to the use of firewood and charcoal for their cooking, as they can neither afford kerosene or gas. Now, this in turn has also pushed the price of these alternatives upward.
A full sack of charcoal, which used to sell for 1,500 naira, now sells for 2,500 naira. It can only last for 1 and some weeks, depending on the usage. 5 pieces of firewood, which used to sell for 50 naira, now goes for between 100 naira and 150 naira. A truckload of firewood, which has a 3,000 now sells for between 8,000 and 10,000, depending on the size of the vehicles being used to convey the firewood.
And those who can no longer afford charcoal and firewood have now resorted to the use of sawdust for their cooking. There will always be alternatives, one way or the other. Now, according to the Nigeria Liquefied and Natural Gas, the country is currently faced with scarcity of liquefied petroleum gas, otherwise called cooking gas, which is perhaps one of the factors responsible for the continuous rise in the price of cooking gas. Nigeria is the 6th nation in the world with largest gas reserves and the 2nd largest producer of oil in Africa, yet the citizens are finding it difficult to afford cooking gas and kerosene.
Cooking gas and kerosene are deregulated products. I think Bala taught us that liberalization really some time ago. Okay, so this means that
commercialization, privatization,
yeah,
you remember.
Okay. So this means there is very little involvement of the government in terms of price fixing. Market forces are expected to determine the prices of these products, but marketers can also create artificial scarcity to jerk up the price. Is that the case, Bala?
Well, you see, everywhere you go, people will continue. It's very strange the way we behave in this country, especially Nigeria. A lot of people still don't believe that Nigeria is just an emerging economy. A lot of people don't believe that Nigeria is a poor country. A lot of people don't want to accept that our economy is prostrate.
Prostrate?
Yes, it's lying flat. But you know the strain, the most important thing. Everywhere you go, in difficult moments, the only authority you look up to is the government. Everywhere you go down history lanes where people succeeded, where economies succeeded. In difficult moments, it's only the government that will come to rescue. And the economic restructuring mechanisms will be determined by the government to bring a country out of recession, to take a country to a political war, or to put a country on an international pedestal. In the case of Nigeria, people don't want to accept these things. Nigeria is not ripe for deregulation. I stand to have a debate on any platform. The Nigerian economy is too weak for deregulation. Nigerian economy is even too weak for privatization of public assets. The best we can do for our economy is to have it liberalized and commercialized. And people are saying no, no, no. If you deregulate a weak economy like Nigeria, if you deregulate an importing economy like Nigeria, your country will grind to a halt. Your currency will become a piece of paper. Your country will become a dumping ground. The reason why I said it's only government that will come to your rescue in difficult moments like this is because, one, government is the biggest customer in any country. Government is the biggest investor in any country. Government is the biggest guarantor and the most credible guarantor in any country. And strange enough, or ironically, government is also the biggest debtor in any country. And that is why it is the government that has everything within that quadrangle to save a country.
Yeah, but in that kind of situation, taking Nigeria, for instance, you said Nigeria was not ripe for deregulation.
Yes.
So at what point would Nigeria be ripe for deregulation?
Okay.
Because if government keeps being in charge of things, there are also arguments that we cannot move forward.
Then the facts are now clear on the table. Do you know the same Nigeria we talk? And let me tell you, every time I talk about government, I'm not interested in political party or whatever. We are talking about generational planlessness or shift by governments and the change in models or model of operation by respective governments. We're not talking about government A, government B, or party A, party B. And that's why I keep giving this example. Between 1965 and 1989, the government of those periods constructed 4 good refineries. In 1965, we had, of course, the first refinery, even though some people will say, no, indigenization made the Nigerian government to take it away or whatever. But in 1965, we had the Port Harcourt refinery. In 1978, we had the Warri refinery. In 1980, we had the Kaduna refinery. In 1989, we have the second Port Harcourt refinery. In 25 years, we had 4 refineries. Between 1990 and 2017, 27 years, the generation of leaders in the past 2.5 decades of Nigeria didn't construct a single refinery and could not maintain the 4 they inherited. Wouldn't that on its own portend energy crisis? Don't they know that the Nigerian population has been increasing? Don't they know that goods and services have been increasing?
Okay, Bala, we'll come back to this.
So let's
go on a break and then we come back for you to continue on your point. Stay with us on TVC Breakfast. Don't forget the top of the hour, over time for us to go for the news update, and Azizat will take us there at the time. Stay with us. All right, if you're just joining us, you're watching TVC Breakfast. We are discussing the rising cost of energy in Nigeria. We have oil and gas expert and energy consultant Bala Zaka with us in the studio. We've been talking about this all the while. Now, Bala, before we went on break, you were telling us about countries being, or governments of countries being the biggest debtors and also the biggest investors, biggest guarantors,
and biggest customers,
and so on. Now, in the case of Nigeria, that government is the biggest everything so far. How long will government keep being the biggest? Because right now, government, if all the major fabrics that make an economy they're all on the exclusive list of the federal government. That they are in charge, and Nigerians are not benefiting. So how can government still be in charge of all of those?
No, it's not correct. It's just because you have economic traitors and vampires within probably successive generation of governments. That's just what has been happening. And the answers are straightforward. Okay, let's even talk about energy sources in Nigeria. We have the coal deposits, right? You know about the Enugu coal deposit, the Ondo coal deposit.
Even in Jos.
Are those sources not sources of energy? Even the industrialized world or countries today still use coal. But it is only in Nigeria that we come up with justification for negativities.
But just to add to that, last year our President Muhammadu Buhari signed the climate change agreement in Paris. The UN climate change says we will no longer use coal. We won't even use charcoal for an alternative. Was that the right move, really?
Well, then if you ask that, what about the countries? Because I don't want to mention name. Even the richest country in Africa uses more of coal, or the most developed economy within the continent of Africa uses coal, right? Then apart from that, you have the gas, right? From gas alone, in fact, Nigeria when we went into privatization, the intention was that the turbines were going to be gas-driven turbines to help us generate electricity. There was a time we were talking about the Nigerian Gas Master Plan. There was a time we were talking about Nigeria as a country or as a hub will supply the whole of West African countries. And the initiative for West African gas pipeline came up. This same Nigeria and the previous generation of leaders conceived the idea of what they used to call, what we call, the Trans-Saharan gas pipeline. The intention then was we were going to be self-sufficient in energy from gas, and we will have enough gas to transport or sell to Europe from Nigeria, through Niger, Algeria, through the Mediterranean Sea to Europe. This same Nigeria we're talking about conceived all these things. But I can tell you in the last 2 decades, the generation of leaders just moved and changed from there.
A lack of continuity, really.
And that was why the economic restructuring mechanisms also changed. And they are what we are now going to discuss. Ordinarily, looking at the state of Nigerian economy, honestly, we shouldn't go outside liberalization or commercialization. And I will explain that. When you talk about commercialization, you are now talking about public entities or public corporations now being self-accounting. It simply means they will have cost centers and they will have profit centers. They will generate revenues, they will make losses, but in national interest. Because even private corporations make losses. But everything they will do will be in what? In national interest. Then when you liberalize, liberalization simply means instead of just having public corporations now running some of these strategic sectors, you will allow private investors to come in, like we did in communication when we eliminated NITEL. That is what liberalization is all about. You have your own as government, but allow private investors to come, invest, and have things done.
So there's some level of competition.
Exactly. So in that case, if the Nigerian corporation or the public corporation will die, it will die naturally, and you take it out of existence because it has gone into liquidation, and you can now carry out a post-mortem of why it collapsed and think of what to do. But in the case of Nigeria, we decided to I don't know if there is a word like wickedly, we decided to, in a wicked manner, embark on privatization and deregulation, which are very dangerous and injurious. And I will explain that. Privatization in the context of Nigeria is moving or selling public assets, right, to individuals. But if you are really talking about private investment, then you're supposed to talk about private investors or private individuals using their money from ground zero to set up whatever industries or whatever facilities they want. But in the case of Nigeria,
they will
take away public assets. That's one. Then in terms of deregulation, which is the most dangerous and the satanic economy restructuring mechanism that some people have said we should use for Nigeria, what happens is you tell a country with a very weak economy like Nigeria, right, that the government should hands off everything. And I've already told you, government is the biggest guarantor, is the biggest debtor, is the biggest customer, and it's also the biggest investor.
But in the case of diesel and kerosene, what is obtainable?
It's because of the deregulation. And let me tell you, I've already said it. Remember, the common denominator is that we are a third world country. Our economy is a weak economy, and it's a benign economy.
All right,
so when you deregulate, you tell people to go to anywhere, get this product, come to your country and supply it at any rate. And I have been saying it and stand to be challenged by anybody. As long as we remain a weak economy like this, without the necessary stability, no foreign direct investment will come in. even local direct investment will not come in. And the reason is simple. The success and the coming of investors is predicated on the stability of the economy of any country. It is also predicated on the stability of the politics of that country. It is also predicated on the stability of social structures. But you are talking about a country where you will tell me to bring $10,000 today, convert it to a Nigerian naira at an exchange rate of probably 200 naira to $1. In 3 years' time, your currency will depreciate to 400 naira to $1. If I want to get my investment out, because if I come in as a foreign direct investor, I will definitely go back to my home country. That's where my loyalty lies. And your country economy is so unstable, your monetary fiscal policies are so unstable to the point where when I will be going back, the net worth of my investment will be half. Is that the country I will come in and invest? You see, this is the deception. And you know the funny thing, there are people who are still saying, not having sympathy for our country as a weak economy, still saying, allow the naira to float. And most of these people don't know the differences when you ask them to define depreciation. They may not know the meaning. They may not know the meaning of devaluation. They don't even know the meaning of currency redenomination. They said it during the regulation. Some of us were defeated in the argument. Then they said diesel will remain at what? 120 naira. Kerosene will remain, and I told them it's not going to be possible because you have a weak economy. And do you know one irony? Even if I would not say anything in this discussion, I will explain this. You live in a country where you depend on an international commodity like crude oil, right, to generate revenue. But the irony is here. When prices of crude oil are going up, instead of our country to generate revenue and we make money, that is when we will want to increase prices of distillates or refined products. And the simple reason is because we don't have refining capacity. The refineries abroad will tell you that they will buy it at a higher price, and so because you are an importing nation, you pay higher. Then another funny thing,
they refine it and sell it to
you
higher.
Then when the prices
of effect, really.
Do you know the funny thing again? When the prices of crude oil are down, we will be told, okay, we can buy the refined products at cheaper rates when we import. But that is also when our country is will be more poor because we are not having revenues from crude oil.
Exactly.
You can just see the collusion.
All right, Bala, we'll come back to this. And when we come, let's go on the break. And when we come back, we'll be having Fola on the program too. Stay with us on TVC Breakfast. All right, we've been holding a discussion on this segment on energy challenges in Nigeria, and Bala Zaka, oil and gas expert and energy consultant, has been with us, taking us through some of the foundational issues we have in Nigeria as an economy, why these things are not working as they're supposed to be, and what we should be doing. Now we have, let's bring in Fola Dele to give us a perspective of reactions from Nigerians in here. Fola, good morning.
Good morning, Mike.
That's a big pot there.
It is. Good morning, Mike. Good morning, Salami. Good morning, Bala. Good to see you. Mike, Salami, Bala, it is a very difficult time to be Nigerian.
Really difficult.
The cost of everything is rising. We're talking about fuel. We're talking about gas, cooking gas. We're talking about light.
And we heard reports from some people that said all these things are rising, but salaries are not rising.
Exactly. So I actually was talking to someone about that.
There was a report we heard yesterday.
So there's quite a gap, and so it's very difficult. Anyway, let's see what people are saying about this one. Renzo says, Nigeria is the type of country that if someone was ready to give all Nigerians electricity, people would argue that it will kill the generator business. Edo Izad says, cost of living in Nigeria now, a bottle of kerosene is $1.70. Sounds cheap to an American, but deadly to a Nigerian. Drew Tony says, with the cost of gas and kerosene in Nigeria, I think it's cheaper to cook with fuel.
And then it'll be faster to get to heaven.
Countess of Niger says, the heat is unbearable. We can't afford to burn fuel all day. Cost of installing solar is high. Which way, Nigeria? Osagi Alex lists out a long list of everything that we have to pay for. Internet bill, water bill, airtime bill, food bill, rent bill, fuel bill, light bill, shopping bill, school bill. What isn't bill in Nigeria? And the last one here from NFS, who says, cooking gas went from 3,500 naira to 6,000, guys. Fuel, 145 naira. Diesel is now 265 naira to 280 naira, depending on the filling station's mood. No light. Which way, Nigeria?
This question is coming up. Which way, Nigeria?
Which way, yes.
I remember there used to be a song, Which Way, Nigeria? Sonia Okosun.
But of course, I mean, you obviously can answer that because you're not in the best position to do that.
Why not?
But, well,
ask him.
Okay, but which way, Nigeria?
That's what we've been talking about since anyway.
But, so I think I want to know, and I'm sure a couple of other people out there would want to know, everything is going up. Is there any hope that these things, the prices would come down? I mean, we all know how things are in Nigeria. What goes up might not always come down.
Against the law of gravity.
Yes.
We can put a stop, or we can hold things. Because, strange enough, all the things we are talking about are man-made or self-inflicted calamities or tragedies. None of these problems is associated with natural tragedy. So the solutions are within us to proffer. The question is this: are we willing to embark on the right path and get the solutions? That's the question I cannot answer. But the solutions are possible.
The question is, does the government have the capacity to bring, even if you have the will, does he have the capacity? Because when they keep mentioning the word, in the last government there was much talk about the issue of cabals who are even sometimes seen as too powerful for the government to touch.
You see, these are also the deceptions you talk about. On a different platform, a political platform, I told somebody, I said, assuming you make me a local government chairman, you know, is it possible that one retired major or colonel or general will come to me, to my office, and say, hey, local government chairman, because I'm a retired general or whatever, you must construct a drainage system here and not there? It's not true. It's fake. It's imagination. And we've said it already. No authority, no entity is bigger than the government. The government of a country, let me give you a small example that may deviate us a bit, but not much. Like I said, the government of any country is the biggest customer, is the biggest investor, is the biggest guarantor, and it's also the biggest debtor. If the government of Nigeria decides today that effective today, anybody that produces Nigerian rice will be patronized by Nigerian government, and says, regardless of how nice imported, in fact, allow people to import whatever they want to import, but as a government, we will only patronize produce rice in Nigeria.
I like the ideals you're painting.
These things are possible.
I agree with you to an extent, but this is Nigeria, and the issue of godfatherism has not gone away, and it may not go away anytime soon.
No, you see, even a godfather can be educated. We talk to our parents.
And we have seen godfathers overthrown.
No, let me tell you, it's not exactly. These things are very, very simple. Okay, like we were arguing, some of us said deregulation will hurt and destroy a weak economy. Remember my common denominator. The Nigerian economy is weak. And let me tell you how deregulation has been working positively in positive or developed economies. In developed economies, the first thing you do, like we said, you create that energy or force. Create internal economic mobility. You will start producing recharge card. She will start producing. He will start producing. All of you now are empowered, right, by the government. Then where the regulation comes in now, to make sure you guys improve in the quality of your standard, I will deregulate the whole thing. And you, as my citizens in Nigeria now, I will lead you to compete among yourself. Then those with the best quality gets the best. But you live in a country where you import virtually everything.
Okay.
So
that importation will kill you and grind your economy to a halt.
Okay.
All right.
Okay, Bala. Point well
Your
made.
pot of cooking food is back
there.
there.
Cooking beans,
rice.
Beans will waste, my God. So let's say rice.
Okay, bye.
Thank you. Yeah. Now, well, Bala, we certainly have to try to round up, but let us see what the way forward can be in the area of energy that we're talking about, specifically gas and even kerosene, and at least for the generality of Nigeria.
Just before answering that, let me also tell you another deception that is going around now in connection with this cooking gas. Because economic planners have failed and they are now trying to coax everybody into gas, they are now using environmental reasons, ozone layer, climate change reason, and saying it is because of cleaner fossil fuel. That's why everybody. The truth is this: they couldn't provide there is no electricity. The kerosene is not there, even the firewood. So we are now using environmentalism. Meanwhile, we are not better than these great countries that have signed treaties to climate change and other things. The solution is very simple. Sources of energy in Nigeria are gas, the crude oil, coal, and water, or the dams. You and I know that the Shiroro Dam, the Kainji Dam, the Jeba Dam are low in terms of water production or reservoir accumulation. We should have thought about that, knowing that our population increases. They don't contribute to the national grid. But what are the other alternatives? Gas is already there. The crude oil is already there. From just the crude oil, like we said, when you have these refined products, LPG is a product of crude oil refining. If you have these things in Nigeria, internally domesticate, and government must be the driver, I stand to be challenged by anybody. So if you have mismanagement in government and there is no appropriate punishment, it doesn't mean that government of other countries are not their economic drivers. Once you have that working, this crude oil, we already have it as a product. Get it from the wellhead in Naira. Move it to the refining positions or facilities or plants called refineries in Naira. Refine them in Naira. Distribute to Nigerians in Naira.
Okay. So what about the solar energy and the other?
Those things are not necessary. That is another lie that we deceive ourselves. Okay. You couldn't even take advantage of your gas, your crude oil, your water, and other things, and you are talking about something that other countries 10 times better than you.
Well, Bala Zakka, that's another topic for another day, renewable energy that we have to talk about, because because in the minds of Nigerians, they're looking forward to these new concepts, the new technology. But when you
you utilize the lower technology and you got it right, fantastic.
No problem.
But don't hide under the deception of national inefficiency
right,
to use what you already have.
Okay. Bala Zakka, thank you very much for coming on the program this morning.
Thank you.
Right. Let's go on a break and we come back to talk on our last topic for the day. Stay with us on TVC Breakfast.